podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
No brakes, no brakes, no fear, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Coming up on this week's episode, we've got reaction from the National Speedway Stadium as the Belle Vue Aces get back to winning ways.
Oh yeah, apart from the first heat, I would say was a decent meeting. Always can be better, you know, that's life of a speedway rider.
More from Norick Blodorn to come, along with Dan Bewley, Sam Masters and Max Frick. There's also a victory on the road for the Kings Lynn Stars, their first for, well, around 2 years to be fair, as they defeated the Birmingham Brummies at Perry Bar.
Solid, you know, it's everybody's doing their job pretty much, and it makes a big difference, and the boys are up for it, so we move on to the next one, and it's just, you know, keep on that roll.
Our main guest this week is Danny King, captain of the Ipswich Witches, who remain top of the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership.
But it's nice that the nucleus of the team is now back together and we can push on, and we didn't lose too much points or, you know, our position in the table in that tricky time.
And we have some reaction from the Cab Direct Championship as well. The Glasgow Tigers and Berwick Bandits faced each other twice in 24 hours last weekend, with Glasgow winning by pretty much the same score on 2 occasions. We hear from Steve Worrell.
We finally got consistency, we finally got a 7 that turns up regularly week in, week out, and we can obviously start building from that now. It's just sad that the BSN and the Knockout Cup are kind of out of reach now, but I guess we throw all our eggs into the league basket now.
And there's an extended chat with that number 7, Jack Smith, also in this week's podcast. All to come in the latest episode of No Brakes, No Fear.
No brakes, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome along as we look back on and preview another big week ahead in British Speedway. And we start at the National Speedway Stadium, where the Belle Vue Aces return to winning ways with a 48-42 victory over Leicester on the night of thrilling action at the National Speedway Stadium. Rival captains Dan Bewley and Max Frick starred with a series of passing moves, Bewley twice coming from the back to win races in the closing yards. The result consolidates the Aces' third place in the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership, whilst the Lions took some consolation from an improved performance. Bewley scoring 14 from 6 rides for the hosts, Jamin Lidsey adding 11, Max Frick racking up 16 plus 1 on his old home track, dropping his only point to Dan Bewley in what was a sensational Heat 13.
Bewley's coming on big time, through into the last lap. Stunning speedway here at the National Speedway Stadium. Blodorn hanging out hand in front. Here comes Frick, one last time. Oh, what a move from Max Frick.
Oh, that's round the outside.
Here we go. Bewley. Oh!
Sensational finish then. Dan Bewley getting it by 0.03 of a second, separated by the transponders, to grab the win on the line, bearing in mind that Bewley was in third entering the final turn of that impressive Heat 13 at the National Speedway Stadium. Well, let's hear from some of those involved then. In a moment, we'll hear from Max Frick. First of all, here's Dan Bewley.
Yeah, it was so nice. I didn't get to do that good of a job in Heat 1, and then... But we got the win, so it's a tough one. You know, you can get a guest in, but I feel like we're strong at home, and RR can either work really good or sometimes it doesn't. But good win for the boys.
It was a good win. You said you were struggling off the gate. That was to our benefit because you had some great races. But there's those couple you got on the line, but there's a couple in particular for me where you are so far behind, but then you just commit to that outside and just keep building up. What's going through your mind when you start to pull those moves?
One of them I was thinking how bad my start was, but I felt like I had loads of speed inside or outside. It didn't really matter, but just got to be a little bit better from the gate, and it would make the night a little bit easier, but it's all right.
It would have been, but this Heat 13 where you had this awesome race, I mean, you're stuck in third place there, you can see. I mean, at that point, what are you thinking? Where do you want to be on the track? Because obviously you can't be where you want to be.
Yeah, you just go on where you can, so I just wanted to win that one. Felt like I made a good start and just left myself pretty vulnerable in the first corner. It's pretty stupid on my behalf, so I wasn't too happy with myself in that one, so that was it.
Yeah, but you certainly made up for it, and you won that race by 0.03 of a second. So Max, you dented his maximum night. That's quite a nice feeling, isn't it?
I didn't know that, to be honest. I would have liked to get a few more points myself, but to be honest, just nice to get a win for the boys. It's been a couple of meetings now, so just get it on the right track and keep going.
Dan Bewley, the standing captain as well at this moment in time, with Brady Kurtz remaining out for the Belle Vue Aces. Let's hear from his opposite number, Max Frick, also captaining the Leicester Lions. Former Belle Vue Aces rider as well, had an impressive night. 16 points on his former home track. Let's hear from Max Frick, chatting also with Scott Nichols on Eurosport.
The Leicester Lions, to be fair, pushed hard. You've only lost by 6 points. We know how hard it is to come to Belle Vue, but obviously from you personally, it's been a fantastic night.
Yeah, it's we kept it reasonably close. 6 points is not a bad result, especially coming here to Belle Vue. They're such a strong team at home. And hopefully, when we go back to Leicester, we can make up the difference. But overall, a solid night for me. Plenty of points in the bag tonight and, a bit of fun riding here at Belle Vue.
This was your home track for a couple of seasons, so you know the place, but you know the headache it can be. But do you look forward to coming here as an opposition?
Yeah, for sure. It's a great track to ride and it's great fun. But on those days when you're struggling to get it to work, it can be a headache. So I know both sides of that. So it's hard as an away rider, harder to come as an away rider for sure. But it's great fun to come here and ride. There's lots of racing lines, so it's always fun coming here.
Most of the headlines, of course, will go to Dan Bewley and Max Frick for their duels at the National Speedway Stadium on Monday night, but there was a great supporting cast as well, led for the Belle Vue Aces, not least, by Norick Blodorn, who's also been in conversation with Abby Stevens on Eurosport.
I think we haven't done too bad, it's tough without Brady. He's like our number one, he's our leader, and even as captain, he's just doing an epic job, so it's big shame to miss him, but I think to get away with a win, it's quite solid. They pushed us pretty hard, so we'll be hard fighting for the aggregate point at Leicester, but hopefully Brady will be back there. But I think overall we can be pleased to get another win at home.
And does Brady, what's the team spirit like in terms of if there's a group WhatsApp? Is Brady messaging you guys saying good luck tonight? What's the spirit like amongst the team?
Well, it's pretty nice, really enjoying it. Over here in the UK, it's more chilled anyway, just even have fun with the opposite side team. But, for me, it's really good to have Brady, we're racing together in Poland and over here, so it's such a big help. So if you see that, Brady, best regards, recover soon. And, we miss him, but I think still the team spirit is still pretty cool.
Yeah, and we spoke earlier about your performance just before we head over to Scotty Nichols, but would you take some positives tonight? There were some brave moves out there, Norick.
Oh yeah, apart from the first seat, I would say it was a decent meeting. In the last one I was a bit unfortunate, like I said in the interview before. But 8 points, 5 rides. 5 rides? Yeah, 5 rides, pretty sure. That's all right, take that. Always can be better, that's life of a speedway rider. But I think it was a decent one. Track was pretty good, I think it was one of the best races we've seen here this year, just because it was a bit drier. It's hard to race on it, but it was good.
Yeah, there's Norick Blodorn then of the Belle Vue Aces. Let's hear too from Sam Masters of the Leicester Lions, who, had a tough evening, really, as it always is at the National Speedway Stadium. He too has been chatting to Abby Stevens.
I really enjoyed myself out there. I wish I scored a few more points, but felt like I was riding all right. Close to a couple of wins, but I got one. But, a couple more would have been nice. But, it was awesome meeting. There's some fast boys out there and, it's good fun.
And how tricky is it to come here? Because the racing is great, but for the home riders when they're dialed in, we know that it's such a fast track.
Sometimes I feel like I lose by about 10, 15 kilos. So if I could cut a leg off or something, it'd be nice. But they sign a fast bunch of boys, and Belle Vue is always a demoralising place to come to. So, to mix it with them, it's cool. But, it's hard to get a win.
Yeah. And Sam, for you guys now, look, it was 6 points in the end. You've got an aggregate point when it goes back to you guys at Beaumont Park. But do you regroup after this? Because it's so important to get in those playoff positions and you're just outside at the moment.
Yeah, we really want to make the playoffs. Obviously, that's our aim and that's everyone's aim, I suppose. So we're battling hard for that. We're close, but we just need a little bit more. And if we can all just step it up that little bit, then it'd be awesome. But we're trying. The summer's here now, so hopefully a good run of meetings and we find our feet a little bit more and, it'll be good if we can get that playoff.
Sam Masters of the Leicester Lions. Well, there was another meeting on Monday as well, and that was at Perry Bar. Kings Lynn Stars raced to their first away win in nearly 2 years as they edged a dramatic contest 47-43 in Birmingham. The Stars picked their guests well. They brought in Rowan Tungate, who scored 14+1, completing a paid maximum in the last heat decider, which ended in a crash, actually, between Brummie's Tom Brennan and the other guest for the visitors, Adam Ellis, both battling it for third place. Brennan was adjudged to be the cause of the stoppage, with the visitors being awarded a 4-2 to confirm their victory, with the aggregate point also helping them off the foot of the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership table. Adam Ellis backed up Rowan Tungate with 10+1. Freddie Lindgren scored 10 on his home debut for the Brummies, including 2 race wins. Let's hear from, the respective managements. Now we'll hear from Nigel Tolley of the Birmingham Brummies in a moment, but first let's hear from the victorious Rob Lyon of the Kings Lynn Stars.
Well, Rob Lyon, it's an impressive night for the Kings Lynn Stars and a big one in the context of the season, perhaps, too.
Yeah, I would say so. I'll say a pivotal moment, but important result, because Birmingham had turned the tables the other way. Obviously, there would have been a bit of a gap between us, and it was important. Needed to get a bonus. We got all 3, which is great, and great team performance again.
It was a massive blow to lose Nikolai Clint yesterday in the build-up to this one as well, but you chose your guests very wisely, and a huge credit to Adam Ellis and particularly Rowan Tungate, paid max at number 1.
Yeah, I mean, Rowan was good here for Oxford, and we just felt he was the best option. You know, he's a good trapper and he's consistent. He's going well this year for Oxford, so going well everywhere. So that was the right choice, we felt. And obviously Adam, averages come into play, as you know, when you've got riders on a Sunday afternoon that get hurt in Poland and you're racing Monday, it's difficult. But yeah, we thought Adam would be a good choice and proved all right tonight.
Yeah, momentum is something that's spoken about in sport, in Speedway all the time. It's something you've been mentioning of late. It's something the Stars have certainly got right now.
Yeah, we have, and if you look at the team, it's solid. It's everybody's doing their job pretty much, and it makes a big difference. And the boys are up for it, so we move on to the next one, and it's just keep on that roll.
And that next one is the Cup semi-final decider at Alderton at Sheffield on Thursday. A lot of people will have you as underdogs as that, but with a 10-point lead, with the confidence in the camp, could be looking at a potential Cup final.
Hey, you never know. I think we would be underdogs given our form so far this year and Sheffield's form, but we've got a 10-point lead. They've got to pull that back, and we've got to probably try and increase it. That's the aim, isn't it? And certainly protect it at the very least. And that's what we'll be aiming to do on Thursday.
So the Kings Lynn Stars rise off the bottom of the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership table for the first time in quite a while. The Birmingham Brummies drop to the foot of the table, and very frustrating considering the amount of investment that's gone into the club. The signing of Freddie Lindgren. They've had 3 weeks off as well. Their first meeting back at Perry Bar ahead of what's going to be a fairly busy July. Let's hear from the Brummies CEO with his thoughts right now. Here's Nigel Tolley with Ryan Guest.
Yeah, very frustrated. I was really hoping we could go away with a bonus point tonight, apart from a win. There's a lot of things I could say in hindsight, but you only learn that after obviously, it's in hindsight. We put more shale on the track yesterday. I think that really should have gone down the week before rather than yesterday. It did rather laminate today with irrigating the track. If it had been put down the week before and we've had natural rain on it, I think it would have made a big difference. And I think it was catching the team out the way that the track was tonight, and it gave an away advantage. There's a lot of things that could have been so different, but nothing went our way tonight, really. Nothing went our way. I don't think Heat 15 should have gone ahead. I'm sure, I know there were movement at the tapes, and they did gain an advantage from that, and I think the red light should have come on that, but again, that's another matter. It just wasn't really our night tonight, but it's frustrating when it was against Kings Lynn. I know what a lot of people are going to say, oh dear, they can't even beat Kings Lynn. And it might have relegated us to the bottom of the league.
Yeah, it certainly has. Conditions is something yourself have mentioned. Samuel Malenko's mentioned it in another interview. It seems to be mentioning a lot. It gets to a point, though, where it's got to be surely something more than conditions.
Well, it has. I mean, as people always say, that a Grand Prix rider will ride any track. I mean, look at the track tonight after we'd put artificial watering on it, and look at the track in the last Grand Prix, which is absolutely soaked. A rider should really be able to ride on any track. But it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out for us tonight. It really didn't. There's so many ifs and buts, and there's so many things you can look at in hindsight. But it's on to the next one, and we've just got to see what we can start to salvage. We really have.
Yeah, you talk about salvaging as well. That is what it's going to be now. It's important to end the season on a more positive note than it has been up to now. I've seen you in long discussions with Sam Ermolenko, and he's not entirely happy with the riding order he chose tonight and how that worked out. How do the club pick things up to generate a positive atmosphere between now and the end of the season?
Well, it's a bit of a learning curve for Sam as well, really, with his first year as team manager. Yeah, in hindsight, I don't think putting Freddie at number 1 and Tom at number 2 worked out for us. If the track had been normal, we may have gained more points in Heat 1. Well, we couldn't have gained a lot less, could we? But we could have done better in Heat 1 if the track had been as it normally is, rather than a lot of artificial water on it. But the track had got to have the water on it tonight. I mean, the sunshine was out bright, clear blue skies at 5 o'clock this morning. So it was drying out. We put water on it yesterday, but it was getting baked from 5 o'clock this morning.
Yeah. Is this one of those as well where obviously someone who puts the time, effort and financial resources in, like yourself as well, is that one of those you've just got to go home tonight and sleep on it and refresh the enthusiasm for everyone involved from tomorrow onwards?
We shall carry on fighting. I mean, I'm not a happy man tonight. I wasn't expecting this result at all. Not a happy man. And I should be thinking about it overnight. I should be talking to Sam again tomorrow. We always have a debrief after a meeting. I've got to think about a lot of things. We've got to salvage what we can out of this season. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want the season to finish early. You know, there's not a lot of teams in Premiership, and it means that if you're not in the playoffs, it means an early finish to the season. And I didn't want that at all. So, no, I've got to think about a lot of things tonight.
Few things to ponder then for Nigel Tolley, the CEO of the Birmingham Brummies. Let's have a look back at a couple of fixtures that took place last week. The Sheffield Tigers pulling clear in second place in the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership table, defeating the Belle Vue Aces, of course, the old Roses derby and rivalry. 54-36 the final score there. And, well, it was a good night for Dan Bewley. Good job he took to the track. He provided much of the resistance for the visitors. The Holder brothers, Chris Holder with 13, Jack Holder with 11, leading the Sheffield scoring. But Bewley's impressive performance, racking up 16 points from 6 rides, was their best performer, and it was the Aces' heaviest defeat of the season. Some reaction then, starting off with the Sheffield team captain, Kyle Howarth.
Well, Kyle Howarth, that was a comfortable victory for the Tigers over the Aces.
Yeah, a great result. We always know it's going to be tough against the Aces local derby, and they always put a good show on here, so to be able to do that, yeah, it was great. Obviously they was missing the skipper, number 1, Brady, who's been going really well this year. Obviously got a good guest in with Bomber, who was really great here for my testimonial last week, and you know, we were just on form, we were just gating and was passing too, so yeah, great result.
Opening with 3 heat advantages as well, how much did that help set the tone for tonight?
Massive. Takes a little bit of pressure off, doesn't it, straight away. Puts a lot of pressure on them, and we kind of just, after the 5 or 6 heats, we set the cruise button and just ticked away, and you know, just kept plugging out the points.
That's the second consecutive 18-point victory here at Alderton for the Tigers as well. Do the boys collectively now feel like they're starting to really get dialed in for the campaign?
Yeah, I feel like it took us a little bit to get dialed in. The lads getting used to each other and gelling and racing all over the continent and get going, but I feel like now the ball's starting to roll for us, and we're all getting used to each other and where we like to ride on the track and stuff. And yeah, 2 big home wins, what's really good, and I know we need to pick our away performances up a little bit, but look, we're not having a bad season. We're at the top of the table, so we just need to keep doing what we're doing.
And finally, for yourself personally, 7 paid, 9 tonight, a couple of paid wins, a Heat 15 nomination, another step in the right direction.
Yeah, I feel like the past 7 or 8 weeks now I've been able to turn my season around home and away and being more consistent on the points, having 2 double figures at home, and then that one tonight paid, and then paid 9, and then I've had some really good, decent away meetings now. So I'm starting to find that form and get that consistency back.
Strength in depth for Sheffield as well. Good performances at reserve. Here is rising star for Sheffield, Dan Gilks.
Well, Dan, firstly, it's another 18-point home win for the Tigers, and that's a great result when you consider the opposition.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a tough meeting. This derby is always a big one for the club, and and for the riders as well. It's always nice to win against your local rivals. So to win today with such a big margin was great.
How important was it to get off to the start that the Tigers did as well? How much did that help?
Yeah, I think sometimes when you haven't when you don't start off great, you're chasing a setup, and sometimes you might not get it at all or to your last ride. Whereas I think when the whole team starts off strong, when we're talking to each other, we're just making small changes to the bike. Whereas sometimes when you go to away tracks, and sometimes even here, you're making such big changes after your first ride. It can always be tough to talk to other riders because we're all doing different things. Whereas tonight, it was just a case of making a few little changes as the track developed, but a great team performance.
Talking of starting off strong, you certainly did that. A relief to go out and win Heat 2 here at Sheffield.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't won a Heat 2 probably all year, I don't think so. Normally I'm coming in with about 5 kilos of dirt on me, so to come in fresh was nice. Obviously I just made a small setup change in the wrong direction for Heat 4, and then we turned it around for Heat 8, and it's been a tough couple of days. Kind of some stuff happening, behind the scenes. So, to put in a performance like that was, was great for me, and just proves to myself that, I can, mix it with these boys.
Dan Gilks of the Sheffield Tigers. We'll run through the full league table shortly. Let's just look back at one other fixture. Ipswich running up the biggest score in the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership so far this season. A 60-30 demolition of Leicester at Foxhall. It's not been a great week for Leicester overall. The Witches maintain their advantage at the top of the table as they rapidly recovered from conceding a 5-1 in heat number 1 to dominate proceedings thereafter. All members of the home side scored at least paid 8. Emil Saifutinov getting 11 plus 2. Guess Scott Nichols, that man again, 11 points for him, leading the way for the Lions. Richard Lawson top scoring nearly half of their total on his own, and Craig Cook crashing out in heat 6, being withdrawn with neck pains, but of course he has now since returned to track action. Let's hear from the Ipswich team manager then, Richie Hawkins with Mike Boswell.
Yeah, another brilliant result. We'll just keep getting better. I think their boys, it was a bit tricky conditions to start with, or a bit more dirt than you used to, and they didn't really like it that much, and we revelled in it. So really happy. Great result. Another 3 points, top of the table. Well into the sort of playoff race, really.
And sort of with it, as the team is kind of shaping out, I appreciate we're missing Jason still, and that's another topic for another time. Is it much like concentrating on winning at home now, just to keep us in that playoff positions? What's the tactics?
Just keep doing what we're doing. Everyone's enjoying themselves, having fun, winning races, and that's the best thing to do. It's great to not be under massive pressure, but I think the boys are just enjoying racing and loving being here and being together. So we'll look for some more away wins on the road as well. I suppose strategically, we just need to win our home meetings. We know we're going to be in the playoffs then, because we've got such a big lead on sort of 5th place. But it'd be nice to finish top of the table. But we're doing remarkably well considering the injury problems and the troubles we've had. But we're getting better. So.
And there's no doubt you can see that the boys are pulling together. Must have been quite nice tonight also for Jordan. I know he had a tough night at Oxford last night, but coming back in, he was on it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's improving, certainly for us. We concentrate a lot more on what they're doing here. On the sort of little bit the same, really. Danny coming back in, he was brilliant again tonight for us, and he's been great for us this season when he's been fit, and probably not done so great in the championship. So as long as they're performing when they're with me, I'm quite happy. But I think Jordan's really getting into his stride now.
And sort of just help me kind of with something that's obviously going around the 75% mark of matches that have to be completed. When is that going to be likely for Ipswich, and is there any kind of restrictions on changes for number ones this year? Just help us understand that rule set. I appreciate, there's been no significant update on the Jason situation, but where does Ipswich stand on all that?
I mean, assuming there's no more like postponements or rain-offs, I guess before we reach 75%, that'll be the end of next month. So yeah, we've got kind of 5 weeks, I guess, if we're going to replace Jason, to find someone. At the moment, there's not anyone suitable available, so we're carrying on how we are. But yeah, it's out there that we'd want someone. Everyone knows it's just a great club to come to, so there's no sort of stopping with that. It's just really ride a schedule. So yes, we're out there. If there's someone viable that's available, yeah, we'll snap them up. But at the moment, there's not.
And being sarcastic on one side, could someone just come up with some kind of daycare maybe for Scotty's children so he could be part of the team? Is that even an option longer term?
Obviously, yeah, Scotty's got his like TV commitments and stuff, which I think he'll be here next week. The following home meeting, we're on telly. I mean, for Scotty, he's in a brilliant position. He'd be silly actually, for him personally to sign for a team full time would be, in the long term, it would be detrimental to him because it'd make it harder to guess. He's in the perfect situation at the moment where he can pick and choose his meetings around his schedule, and I suppose at his age and where he's at in his career, that's perfect for him. And but it certainly worked very well for us this year where we could bring him in so often.
And our main guest this week is Danny King, the captain of the Ipswich Witches. He's on the way very shortly in the next part of No Breaks, No Fear. Looking at the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership table then, well, the Ipswich Witches are top of the table. 24 points from their 12 fixtures so far, and they are clear by 4 points. But of course, Sheffield have a meeting in hand. They've ridden 11, have Sheffield. Ipswich ridden 12. Sheffield 11 meetings and 20 points. And the Belle Vue Aces are currently third, 13 meetings ridden and 19 points. And fourth place currently occupied by the Oxford Spires, 12 meetings ridden and 13 points. Oxford host Sheffield on TV next Monday on Eurosport and Discovery Plus in the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership. So that's going to be interesting as far as those playoff places go. Oxford having that home advantage. Leicester Lions are fifth. They've ridden 12 and they've got 12 points. Kings Lynn Stars off the bottom of the table then. We've ridden 10 meetings, so at least one meeting in hand on all the sides above them, and more likely 2 or 3 meetings in hand. 10 meetings ridden and 7 points on the board, and the Birmingham Brummies have ridden 12 and have 6 points. So that is how the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership table looks as we leave June and head into July. Of course, it's all about finishing in the top 4, and certainly very tight between the Oxford Spires and the Leicester Lions. But you can't rule out the Kings Lynn Stars, who could still do it. In fact, they can all still make the playoffs. Of course they can. We're only halfway through the programme, really. But it's getting fairly tight around that part of the league table. Certainly looking at the who's going to make the fourth place for the playoffs at this moment in time. Looking at the fixtures then this week, Thursday, we've got action from the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership as the Ipswich Witches host the Oxford Spires, and Premiership Knockout Cup semi-final second leg action as well as the Sheffield Tigers host the Kings Lynn Stars. And Kings Lynn have a 10-point advantage going into that one. That's going to be an interesting one to watch. That's live on BSN on Thursday evening. And then looking at the action on Monday night, there's a full programme really of ROWE Motor Oil Premiership action. Kings Lynn versus Leicester. And then we've got the Belle Vue Aces versus the Ipswich Witches, and Oxford Spires versus the Sheffield Tigers, which is your fixture live on Eurosport Discovery Plus on Monday night on the 1st of July. OK, we'll speak to the captain of the Ipswich Witches, Danny King, who's spent some time on the sidelines this year with a hand injury, but he's now back on the bike, a few meetings under his belt, and things are looking good. We'll hear from Danny King, captain of Ipswich, but also rider for the Redcar Bears in the Cab Direct Championship, next on No Breaks, No Fear.
No Breaks, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
This is No Brakes, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast, and our guest in this episode now is Danny King, of course, captain of the Ipswich Witches, also back with the Redcar Bears as well. It feels weird not calling you captain of Redcar. Of course, Charles Wright's the captain there. You sort of assume wherever you've been, it's sort of your name's preceded with captain of. It must is that sort of a different thing for you to not have that responsibility? I know that you do a captain's performance every time, helping all the other boys out, but I suppose you don't have those duties of looking after coin tosses and stuff like that at Redcar.
Yeah, no, you're bang on there, mate. Obviously, I still do what I do. You know, I play that sort of captain's role as such. So, yeah, but it is nice. You know, Charles is very good round Redcar. He's been there a long time, and he is Mr. Redcar. So, I think he's a great captain, and it's just nice that I'm able to support him if he needs anything. But as you say, he can take the responsibility of the coin toss because it's not fun when you don't get the gates your team want and you have to let them know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We'll talk more about Redcar shortly, but you're back from injury and came back with a bit of a bang, really, because it was a massive win for Ipswich last week, and I think the biggest win in the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership of the season when Ipswich defeated Leicester 60-30. I mean, that's a heavyweight scoreline at that level of speedway. But you must have been happy with how things have gone your first couple of meetings back, having been out and not on the bike really for what was it, 6-7 weeks or so you were out?
Yeah, 7 weeks, I believe. Yeah, I'm really happy. I was nervous, I won't lie. You know, it's never fun sort of making you come back when you're not sure how it's going to be. You know, I wasn't 100%. I'm still not 100%, but I felt like it was good enough to race and decided to try, obviously. And it's been successful. You know, I had a good meeting at Redcar, had a week off to recover, and then just did 2 days in a row this week. And the hand's fine. It's sore at times, but it's not affecting my riding, which is the main thing.
And what was it you did with the hand? Because, well, you had a couple of bashes, didn't you, in a short space of time, but the hand is what's been keeping you out, and you had surgery on it to repair it. So just talk us through that, the gruesome details, if you like.
Yeah, it's crazy. I had a big crash at Workington on the weekend before the one I did my hand, and that was a big crash. You know, that was a really big crash, and to be able to walk away from that with just a few bruises and scrapes is crazy, really, when you think of how I did my hand. You know, I got a little bit out of shape, so did another rider with me, so I decided just to lay the bike down, which I've done 1,000 times over. You know, the silliest of crashes, and somehow landed awkwardly on my hand and managed to snap 2 bones in my hand completely in half. So, yeah, basically, we had two plates put in to repair the bones, and obviously just been working hard behind the scenes to try and get back as quick as I can. And in my head, I was hoping to get back quicker than I did, but you can't rush this sort of thing, certainly on the hand, you know, where, you know, I don't want to be going down a straight at silly speeds and not confident my hand can hold onto the handlebars. I had to be sensible, but it got to a position where I felt like it was okay, and I was right. So far, so good.
And, you know, so a relatively small injury in the scheme of things, you know, when you talk about broken legs or, you know, people with chipped vertebrae and things like that, you know, obviously life-changing potentially, and people will think, well, you know, broken hand, but obviously your strength is in your hand, as you say there, and everything rests on that. Both hands play different roles. One's on the throttle, one's on the clutch, and you know, you definitely need your hands to ride a bike, don't you? And it was more that you were saying it's the strength though of, like, say, making a fist or whatever. That was the thing.
Yeah, for sure. My target was always the British final. I was quite confident at coming back to it, and I had a practice beforehand, and I just didn't feel like I could hold the handlebars. And I the more I sat and thought about it, you know, it's not safe for me if something happened, and my other, you know, fellow riders who I'm riding against. And, you know, if you're going to Belle Vue and you're doing them silly speeds down that back straight, if I come into a corner and got a bit close to someone and had to maneuver the bike quickly and couldn't, I wouldn't be able to hold it. So it's just not fair on anyone. And so it was a tough decision, but I had to make it, and obviously just kept training and getting physio where I could, and got it into a position where it was strong enough. And I'm really pleased now that I've done these 3 meetings, cut the tricky track conditions, some Ipswich had plenty of grip on it on the Thursday and come through successfully. Didn't feel like I was going to let go at any point. So now, as far as I'm concerned, we can just move on and push on with the rest of the year. But yeah, it is a tricky injury, like you say, for a hand that seems simple. It's sometimes not.
Yeah, okay. And Ipswich, though, they've had a bit of a time with injuries because you've not been the only one out, of course. Jason Doyle, long-term injury there, massive loss, and Adam Ellis was on the sidelines at the same time as well. So, I mean, for a team to lose yourself, to lose Adam Ellis, to lose Jason Doyle, and then to still be top of the league, despite all of that, they've weathered that storm there. Obviously had some great guests as well along the way to help out, but, it's a great position to be in considering those setbacks.
Yeah, you have to take your hat off to the management. Really, they worked hard to get the right guests in for the right tracks, and it worked. It can't be easy. Obviously losing me at first, it's probably okay. Then Jason, and then all of a sudden they're two on the sidelines and they're managing guests, and then as you say, Adam damaged his shoulder, and it just seemed like all the luck was going against us. But the fight in the team, with everyone there, it just goes to show we got a good thing going, and it's just nice now that Adam's back, I'm back, and unfortunately, it looks like Jason's going to be out for the year. So we're going to have to try and do something on that respect. But it's nice that the nucleus of the team is now back together and we can push on, and we didn't lose too much points or our position in the table in that tricky time.
And in no small way as well, thanks to Scott Nicholls, who's sort of been like a unofficial number 8 in many ways, riding the majority of the home fixtures. And of course, the rules are different for getting guests for number ones and what have you. So he's obviously, you can't really find anybody better than him with more track knowledge of Vauxhall than Scott Nicholls, who's been available for all those fixtures.
Yeah, we've been really lucky there, really, as well. And the form Scott's in this year is just unreal. He's looking like one of the best Scott Nicholls we've seen, certainly for a very long time. And his performances he's put in for us have been amazing. So, we're very fortunate at the minute. But, I don't know how long we're going to be able to keep using Scott, or whether we'll be able to use him in every meeting, or what we can do. So we need to make the most of it while we can. But so far, so good.
And looking at the fixtures coming up, then you had that big win against Leicester, and then again potentially another tricky one. It was not an ideal situation the last time the two sides met, but you've got Oxford coming up on Thursday, and last time they met was the time that Rowan Tungate was missing, and there was a bit of calamity over the reserve berth and what have you. So it wasn't really a full strength Oxford that Ipswich faced, and Ipswich, of course, won the meeting. I think it ended early, didn't it, with the rain, that one. Because I think we did that one on BSN. But then you've got on Monday a trip to Belle Vue as well, and obviously Belle Vue looked like they were at full strength on Monday night on Eurosport. So an interesting time to meet them as well at this point in the season, where the track seems to be sorting itself out at the National Speedway Stadium as well.
Yeah. Two real tricky meetings coming up. Oxford are a team of riders who ride our track really well, and you're right, it was the wet meeting last time. It got called a bit early, but it carried on going as long as it could, because it was a close meeting and Oxford was still in it, and I think it took us up to heat 14 to declare the result. So we know they're going to come and push us hard. It's going to be a tough meeting, but we just need to carry on doing what we're doing, and hopefully we'll get that one over the line, and then we can look on to Monday, where probably our worst result of the year was when we went to the National Speedway Stadium earlier in the season. It was quite a heavy loss, so we need to go and put that right, and hopefully we can.
Yeah, and of course, I guess the situation there, and that may be the day that Brady Kurtz makes his comeback for Belle Vue. Of course, he's been on the sidelines himself now, but I know that from the interview we did last week, Mark Lemon was targeting this fixture to have Brady Kurtz back, and I guess it's still that question as to how you fill the number one spot away from home, because of course Scott Nicholls is otherwise engaged on Mondays.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough, and not just the number one berth. It's replacing Jason Doyle. It's a very, very difficult job to do. But the management so far have picked fantastic guests, and hopefully they'll continue to do so, and we can go out to Belle Vue with a team confident of getting a result.
It has been much talked about. It's been in the Speedway Star. It's been everywhere. Of course, they've scoured all of the riders available, including Bartosz Szmarszlik, and it wasn't a straight no. It was a not at the moment. I mean, this is the story that keeps coming back, though. But I mean, that would be a heck of a of a top line though. If just supposing it ever did happen that you had Smarslick and Saifutinov side by side, I mean that must be that'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
I think that would be absolutely mental. Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah. No. Look, like I say, you've got to take your hat off to the management at Ipswich. It's not for lack of trying. They have tried every possible avenue, and nothing seems to be working at the moment or coming off. So we are in a bit of a tricky situation, and we have been managing with guests. But as I said earlier, I don't think that's sustainable for the rest of the year. So hopefully something can happen, and we can get back to a full 1-7.
Yeah, watch this space. It's the time of year where plenty of changes are coming up, I think, as we're heading towards July. I know that team managers have been scratching their heads already and waiting for the new averages to be confirmed and so on. And looking at your other team, the Redcar Bears, since you've come back, of course, it's been a decent run really for Redcar, but also since Dan Julks came into the side. I know Gavin Parr's been singling him out for particular praise, maybe making not just a difference on the track, but into how things are away from the spotlight, if you like, and the team chat and generally the atmosphere in the camp, in the pits as well. It seems to be good at the moment for Redcar.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. Obviously, my first 2 meetings back have been really good. 2 good wins, 2 very close home meetings, but 2 good wins. And that's the first time I've really sort of had time to ride with Dan. And Gav's right; he's settled in really well. He's a nice kid. He's level-headed and he's got potential. And so far, since he's come in, we've seemed to have settled down a little bit and started to get some more results and a bit more consistency, which is the main thing. So, long way to go. We know it's going to be tough to make that top 4, but it's still possible. And obviously, we need to probably pick up some points on the road, but that's the target, 1 meeting at a time. And I feel with the team we've got, we're capable. So hopefully we can go and do that.
The next couple of meetings for Redcar are fairly tricky. You've got a bit of a week off now, or 10 days or so left of that, 5th of July. And it's a trip to Armadale, up to Edinburgh, which is never the easiest place to go for anybody. It's a great example of what home advantage is. And then the week after that, you've got Poole Pirates at home, of course, your former side as well. And every trip or every meeting with Poole involved is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, you're dead right. 2 very tough meetings. Obviously, Edinburgh is always a tricky place to go, and they're a team. I know that they've probably been struggling for results, but they are a team on form at the moment, and they pushed us very close last week at Redcar, and then they've had a very good result last week as well. So they're a team full of riders who ride at Armadale well. So if we're going to go there and get a result, we all 7 need to be on our game. But again, as I say, it's a team I believe in, and I think we are capable of going there and getting a win. We just got to hope everything goes well on the night.
Redcar have made some good gains over the recent time. I think winning 4 of the last 5 meetings, I think it is now, and even that one that was a loss was the away trip to Poole, where it went down to the wire. There must be a lot more confidence now around the side. Now you've got a full 1-7 first of all, but also 1-7 that's been going pretty well. This confidence now, and yes, you've ridden a few more meetings than some of the sides around you, but it is getting fairly tight in that top half of the championship table, isn't it?
It is very tight, and you're also right that I do feel like there's a bit more confidence in the team now, and we seem to have settled a bit. It's always been tricky at home. It's been quite stressful with these home meetings because everyone likes Redcar and they keep going down to the wire, but we are getting the results and we're getting it over the line, and that is helping everyone. And so, yeah, it's going to be nice just to try and, like I said to the boys, we need to just take it 1 meeting at a time. Let's not worry about how many points we need or what we need to do. 1 meeting at a time. Let's keep getting them results because there are a few tricky ones coming up. And hopefully we can go and do that.
I think 1 or 2 surprises in the league overall, though. I mean, Oxford are going well. I think they've sort of gone under the radar a little bit, and they've been sort of chugging along there, but they find themselves at the top of the table. They've not really hammered anybody, I don't think, but they've been getting the results. Workington, of course, and the jury was out about them, and here they are now, second in the table, even after the fixtures are starting to even out. And you've got a home and away trip with Workington back-to-back, I think, haven't you, sort of within 24 hours coming up in, I think, the start of August. So, they are becoming a bit of a surprise package and certainly very difficult to beat at home, aren't they? With Tate Zischke seems to be blowing everybody away, and certainly the rider that's coming to the fore this season now.
Yeah, I think Workington were getting well, certainly overlooked, shall we say. The team that they've put out this year probably was a bit of unknown. There was a few riders in there we didn't know much about, but wow, what a start they've had to their British careers. I think they're probably one of the favourites now. Sitting here looking at it, I think they've got a solid 1 to 7, and these new riders that have come in, Tate, as you say, and the other lad,
Vulas.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't want to get it wrong and butcher his name. What fantastic riders they are. I mean, I've been really impressed with the pair of them, and then backed up obviously with the others. And you've got the experience of Cookie and Batch. I do believe they're probably going to be up there for one of the favourites. So we're going to have to be on our game. We have won there this year, but then they've won at ours as well. So it's Speedway. It seems to be very close this year everywhere you go. So you just never know what's going to happen.
And it's been a bit of a tough start for Glasgow, and Redcar defeating Glasgow recently on your home patch. One of those wins that we talked about in that last 5. Considering they won the league last season, it often happens, doesn't it? I think Poole have obviously done it back to back, but it's very hard for teams, and possibly down to the averages, and obviously forcing you to look at the options a little bit more. That it's very hard for a team to retain a title, isn't it? And you are a rider that's done it, but it's very hard to do.
It is very hard to do. I think this year people were not sure the best way to build the team. We have the lower points limit, and you've actually seen, if you look throughout, how differently the teams have been built throughout the league. And I think it may have caught some people out. I don't know, but I certainly wouldn't rule Glasgow out. I know they're not riding how they want to ride, and they're not getting the results they probably expect, but I still believe that they're going to be there or thereabouts at the end of the year. I would say the same about Paul and people like that. If they were struggling, you just know that they're going to turn it round. So it is a bit funny, some of the results we're seeing at the moment. But it's still a long way to go. And once we get to the playoffs, if you get to the playoffs, it starts again. It's 0-0.
Well, absolutely, but it's all about top 4 this year, which is the first time that's been the case in the championship for a while, isn't it? So there is that added bit of pressure maybe this year to make sure that you're obviously slightly further up the table, because 1 or 2 sides sneaking in in 6th place or whatever it was in previous years, and that's not going to be the case now.
No, that's right. Yeah, they've changed it again. So top 4, as you say, for us at Redcar, that's always going to be tricky now, but it's still doable. We didn't have a great start to the year, and unfortunately, it's cost us slightly. But that's why I keep saying to the boys, like I just said earlier, 1 meeting at a time. Let's not put too much pressure on ourselves. Let's just do what we're doing. We're riding well. We're settled now. We've got a 1 to 7 back, and it's going to be tough, but it's doable. It's a bit like us at Ipswich last year. At one point we didn't think we were going to make the playoffs, and then nearly went all the way. So it just goes to show you, if you can keep on that, if you can keep going and get on a bit of a roll and getting them results, you don't know where you're going to be at the end of the year.
Yeah, well, it's a busy time of year. There's lots going on. And Speedway of Nations, of course, coming around the corner, which will give many domestic riders a bit of a break, but certainly plenty of Speedway to take in that week. And I no doubt you'll be watching, will you? There's obviously Britain goes straight through to the final, but you've been involved in these sort of tournaments before. It's completely different ball game to a regular week of Speedway, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Of course, I'll be watching. It's a meeting I enjoy. I must admit, I prefer the World Cup format rather than the Speedway Nations, but it's always fun to watch. And obviously, as you say, GB are straight through to the final, but I'll be watching it and seeing who's doing what. And normally, it's very entertaining meeting. So hopefully, it will be again this year. And hopefully, GB can do something.
It's always, I think, a good platform for some of the riders that may be lesser known as well. There's always 1 or 2 riders that will, like Vulas, for example, obviously now at Workington, who get that opportunity that maybe comes along their way. They get a ride that they weren't expecting to have, and it's an opportunity for some riders to come to the forefront and catch the attention as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We've seen that again a few years ago in the wet with Philip Hellstrom Bangs, didn't we, at Belle Vue? It's just, you get these riders come over and And this is a good platform for them to get in the eye of British promoters as well. There's a lot of riders who want to come to England, and it's these sort of meetings that you need to, if you're lucky enough to be in or fortunate enough to be in, you can try and show your craft and get the eye of some promoters.
Yeah, that's it. Certainly a platform for some there. Well, look, thanks, Danny, and see you next on the track then for Ipswich on Thursday, and then your trip to Belle Vue on Monday as well. But hope the rest of the season goes to plan, and you keep yourself safe and on the bike.
Thanks, Ian. I'll try, mate.
I know it's not always possible, but you could do your best. Danny King of the Ipswich Witches and the Redcar Bears, and we'll turn our attention to the Cab Direct Championship next. Got a long interview with Jack Smith, who's been riding for the Glasgow Tigers over the last few weeks or so, and he's been putting in some important performances, and we've also got reaction as the Glasgow Tigers defeated the Berwick Bandits last weekend, and a reaction as well from Redcar after the Redcar Bears got the better of the Oxford Cheetahs in a super heat at the Echo Arena last Friday. All that and more to come in the final part of No Brakes, No Fear.
No Brakes, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
We'll turn our attention now to the Cab Direct Championship and to the current holders, Glasgow Tigers, completing a weekend double over the Berwick Bandits despite a controversial finish at Shieldfield Park on Saturday. The Tigers notching their first away win in the league this season with a 47-43 victory. Of course, it went down to a last heat decider. They did, though, come back from 6 points down to lead by 4 heading into Heat 15. In that race, skipper Chris Harris was disqualified as he was judged to be the cause of Drew Kemp coming to grief. But Steve Worrell saw the visitors through in the rerun, and it was a meeting where the Tigers heat leaders excelled. Chris Harris scoring 14, of course, on his former track. Worrell with 11 plus 1. Leon Flint, again, former captain of Berwick, getting 11 on his old track. Kemp, the only rider to defeat Chris Harris in a completed race as he scored 9 plus 1. But the Bandits suffered their third home defeat of the league campaign. Well, we'll hear from Steve Worrell and his thoughts on that Heat 15 incident, because he was the other rider racing in it, of course, and he had a pretty good view. But first of all, we'll hear from Drew Kemp, who was top scorer for the Berwick Bandits last weekend. Frustrating night, another close one between the two sides, but for you personally, some high points and some low points. We'll start with the battle with Bomber, the first one, where you held him off for 4 laps. That was an impressive ride.
Yeah, it was. We had a good one in that one, and I was frustrated after the first race where, I felt like I was stuck behind at the back for 4 laps until the last corner, and Bomber passed me on the last corner last night, so I wanted to get my revenge on him and get him back, and he was riding me hard. I keep joking around with people and saying you don't need to even see that it's Bomber to know that it's him behind you, because he's literally everywhere on the track, but we got him, which is good, and it's nice to have a race win.
The last ride, though, it came down to Heat 15. You needed a 5-1, and it took Gary Allen, the referee, quite a long time to look at the video footage. He judged that Bomber was a bit too hard on you, and obviously you found yourself in the airbag.
Yeah, it's hard racing. Obviously, like I was saying with Bomber before, he's behind you, and he's not going to give an inch. He's got a lot of experience at this level, and there's a reason why he's been as successful as he is. So I'll take it as a compliment that he has to ride me that hard to pass me, but no, he's a top rider, and obviously to be in front of him is good experience for me, and I'll know for next time not to be that, leave an inside gap for him. But yeah, we go again.
Hard but maybe fair. You're in one piece. That's the main thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So obviously we've got a few weeks off now. Hopefully I can pick up some guest bookings in the Championship or in the Premiership, and we can keep racing.
Yeah, Drew Kemp making sure he gets in there, that he is available for guest bookings during this quiet period for the Berwick Bandits. Let's hear from Steve Worrell then. He was the rider who sealed it for the Glasgow Tigers in Heat 15, and his view on that Heat 15 incident as well.
I prefer it not to be like that, if I'm honest. I'd rather be slowly building the lead through the meeting and go into Heat 15 with a bit of pressure off, but I guess it makes it exciting for the fans, but no, it's been a good weekend for us, because this season so far, in my eyes, it's been disappointing for us as a team. We haven't done what we set out to do and what we was built to do, and I guess our main focus now is the league. So to go away with 2 wins this weekend after nearly 3 weeks, of no racing together, it's been good. So build on it and keep pushing forward now.
And getting the win tonight and the aggregate bonus, of course, helps things out. And as you say, now you're back in action. Obviously, the fixtures are going to start coming thicker and faster in July. Bit of controversy in the final heat, though, as well, though, with Bomber finding himself excluded. I mean, you were on the track, you saw it. What was your view of it?
I just had the tail end view of it, and it was tight. As a rider, I know when you're trying to come into the corner and you got someone underneath you, it throws up a load of hurdles. And so I sympathise with Drew, but from the video of what I've heard, there was no contact. But I mean, they're carrying a lot of speed into that corner. It's a fast corner, and I don't know, I wouldn't like to be a referee, and I'm on the fence. But I guess the one positive outlook of it is it didn't affect the result. We still came away with a win, which was good.
Felt like a bit more of a solid performance throughout the team tonight, though, maybe.
Yeah, we're picking up. Obviously, me personally, I've come on a lot better. I've picked my form up, which just new environment. New things with the bikes, a lot of new stuff going on, which it took a long time to try and get my head around it all. But I feel like I'm getting there now. And from a team point of view, obviously bringing Jack in, like we finally got consistency. We finally got a 7 that turns up regularly week in, week out, and we can obviously start building from that now. It's just sad that the BSN and the Knockout Cup are kind of out of reach now, but I guess we throw all our eggs into the league basket now.
Yeah, and it's certainly all to play for in the league as far as the Glasgow Tigers are concerned. They have ridden 5 meetings, so among the fewest around. They're currently in 6th, 7 points from 5 meetings, with, in some cases, 5 meetings in hand over some of the sides above them. So there's certainly ground to be gained for the Glasgow Tigers in what's going to be a pretty busy time heading through the course of July. Well, another Glasgow Tigers rider who's been making some big contributions since he joined the side a few weeks ago officially was Jack Smith, and Phil Lanning has been having a chat to the Glasgow Tigers reserve.
You could have got a team place, but to come in and have an impact and then prove yourself immediately, just must be so happy.
Yeah, definitely. I've been working quite hard the last 2 years at it, probably doing what I should have been doing a long time ago. I think you'd be a bit naive at a young age, think with Speedway, thinking things come easy, but it is a lot of hard work behind the scenes and a lot of practice and a lot of trying different things. And the last 2 years I've put the work in and it's now paying off. And I can't thank Glasgow enough for having me back and putting that belief in me. And then my job is just to show them that I can pay that off back to them by scoring the points and helping them.
They haven't just had a situation where they lost Lee and then they've had to just find someone and put you in. You've come in and you've proved yourself immediately. I mean, the Oxford meeting here, they wouldn't have won the meeting without you. I think, I can't remember the other one now. Workington, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then tonight, that Heat 14 was pivotal. I mean, that changed the complexion of the meet. For you to be in those situations, I think when you came past Danyon as well, that was a massive point. You're not just getting points, you're winning from the back, you're winning big races. This is where you want to be, isn't it? This is the sort of impact you want to have at this level.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to say 2017 when I signed here as an asset in the winter of 2016, and I've always felt like this is the club for me. The track suits me, and going now and getting the opportunity, with unfortunately what happened with Lee, but getting that opportunity and proving, that their belief in having me back, it will pay off, and helping the team scoring the points in that Oxford meeting was sort of the dream start, really. Couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah. You've been thrown around like a ragdoll. You have had places like, you've been Sheffield, Redcar, I think Newcastle before they closed. You've been thrown around like a ragdoll. And then obviously you came here in 2021 when you'd had a year off and that short period of time. So you've had a really tough time and your belief must have taken a massive hit during that period of time as well. So again, this makes this bit even sweeter that you think, you know what, you must have thought at times, look, this ain't going to happen. The championship seems to be slipping away from me. I'm having bits and chances here and then. It's not happening for me. So now do you feel like you can kick on? What's your next? I mean, I'm not going to run before you can walk. But what do you think, right now I've got a good round here. You've got to obviously just pick up more a bit away from home maybe and try and build on this now?
Yeah, exactly that. Like, seen me signing for teams through the years, like you've mentioned, Sheffield, Redcar, did a little bit of Plymouth, did a little bit of Newcastle.
That's right.
They see them as chances and opportunities, but when from my point of view of it and experience of it, I've not been given long enough at a young age to progress.
Do you think you should, like that first year in 2017 here, and I think you had the year, I think you rode everywhere that year in the 3, you were given the full year.
Yeah, and that was my best year.
But you hadn't been given that in the championship since then.
Yeah.
And this is now your opportunity to say,
that's it. Like 2017, rode all 3 leagues up and down the country, improved so quickly. And then after that season, obviously picked up 2 teams again, Swindon and Sheffield. But then I just wasn't given the track time, given the meetings long enough to progress.
And as you say, this changed the path a little bit. It changed the narrative in your own mind about Speedway because it's been sort of trying to get a chance. Now you've got it. Now you can. I mean, you must have been so happy to be feel part of, because you mean again being part of a ragdoll and throwing around. You expect to be part of a team and making those those moments when you're coming back up that hill tonight, 8:14, and you've just won a race which you knows turn this meeting around.
Yeah.
What? Tell me, what is that? What's going on in your head?
Well, that's it. You know, like just it was an amazing feeling coming over the finish line in that race and seeing the support from all the fans here, all the love from the management, everyone coming over to me and congratulating me. It's a big thing to me from all like the hard work I've been putting in and how low the lows have been.
Yeah.
We're getting chuffed about between teams, guesting for teams, not having like a home.
Yeah.
To be back here is the perfect situation for me. Because this feels like my home because I've been coming here since I was 17 years old, since I was a kid. I'm 25 now. This is my home away from home. It's great to finally be back a part of it and to be here. I couldn't have done it better.
Jack Smith feeling like he's at home again at the Glasgow Tigers. Well, another side who were in action last week, the Redcar Bears defeated Oxford, who are now top of the Cab Direct Championship in a controversial superheat at the Echo Arena after the sides fought out a 45-all draw in the Cab Direct Championship. The visitors fought back from 8 points down to level the scores with a stunning ride from Sam Masters against Charles Wright and Danny King in Heat 15, taking the meeting into overtime. But Oxford captain Scott Nichols was penalised for movement at the start, was unable to make up the ground from the handicap, so King and Wright were able to follow Masters home and win it for the Bears. There was a consolation for the Cheetahs. They picked up 1 match point for the draw, plus the aggregate point, which moved them to the top of the table. So a fairly unique, rare occurrence where the meeting finishes with both sides finishing with 2 points each. It does happen sometimes, but not very often. And so therefore the Oxford Cheetahs head to the top of the Cab Direct Championship and they've ridden 7 meetings. They've got 11 points. Workington Comets have ridden 7 and have got 11 as well. Poole Pirates, they've on 10 points, having ridden 5 meetings. Scunthorpe Scorpions are on 7 with 10. Redcar Bears are 5th with 10 meetings ridden and 8 points on the board. Glasgow Tigers, I mentioned before, they've ridden 5 meetings. They've scored 7 points overall. Berwick Bandits have ridden 10. They've got 7. And the Plymouth Gladiators 8th. They've ridden 5 meetings though with 5 points, and the Edinburgh Monarchs, they've ridden 6 meetings and they have got 4 points. And it's a fairly interesting period ahead with many of these sides that are involved in some of the drama meeting each other. Plymouth and Edinburgh. Edinburgh going on a southern tour next week, heading down to Plymouth and Poole. But we'll have a look at how the fixtures look coming up for this week, because it is another pretty busy week overall in the Cab Direct Championship. Wednesday, Oxford versus Workington, another top of the table clash there, with Workington ahead by just 2 points on the aggregate score for that one. Friday in the Cab Direct Championship, it's Glasgow versus Plymouth, Scunthorpe versus Edinburgh, and Glasgow versus Plymouth will be on BSN on Friday night. And then looking ahead to the following week, Tuesday, Cab Direct Championship, Plymouth Gladiators versus the Edinburgh Monarchs, and that's at 7 p.m, followed by Poole versus Edinburgh on Wednesday night. Both of those also will be on BSN. And don't forget your action from the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership, Ipswich versus Oxford on Thursday. We've got Sheffield versus Kings Lynn in the Knockout Cup. And then on Monday, Kings Lynn versus Leicester, Belle Vue versus Ipswich, and Oxford versus Sheffield. That's the fixture that's going to be on Eurosport. And in the National League, we've got a few things going on. National League Riders Development Series is at Poole on Wednesday at 7:30. We've also got action from the National Development League, Scunthorpe versus Edinburgh, which is on after the main fixture, Cab Direct Championship fixture, so 2 for the price of 1. Well, actually, it's not. I think it's slightly more expensive than normal, but only a little bit, the price for that fixture, because you get the 2 meetings, so 30 heats of speedway. And I think that's really covers us for the forthcoming week in British Speedway. So plenty of action. The weather's looking good. Get down trackside and support your favourite team. If you can't make it in there in person for whatever reason, then check out some of the offerings from Eurosport and Discovery Plus. Don't forget as well, the Grand Prix is on this weekend. Gorzów is the destination, and it's not just the usual SGP, but also SGP3. And the very best of luck to Cooper Russian and William Cairns, who will be racing in that, which is effectively the the 250cc World Final is pretty much what it is. So they're going great guns at the moment. So best wishes to those 2 guys who could be doing Britain proud in Gorzów this weekend, mixing it with the best in the world. We'll be back next week with another episode of No Brakes, No Fear, and it will be a preview of the Speedway of Nations as well. Do not miss it. I'll be joined by Kelvin Tatum and Simon Stead in next week's episode to look ahead to the Speedway of Nations in Manchester. That's next week on No Brakes, No Fear. Till then, ta-ra.
No Brakes, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Sports Social Podcast Network.